There's a saying that older women who remain single, often referred to as leftover women, do so because they have a car, a house, and a successful career. In other words, they're too exceptional to find a suitable partner. These women are financially independent, and no man can measure up to their standards. With their financial stability and family support, they're fully capable of having and raising children on their own. However, cases like these are incredibly rare. There are a handful of high-profile examples, which people may have seen online. So, whenever the topic of leftover women comes up, these examples are often cited as proof. Over time, some women start to believe this narrative themselves, convincing themselves that they, too, are single because they're too exceptional for any man to handle. In reality, this is often just a way to boost their self-esteem. For most, the reality is that they remain single due to less favorable circumstances and are simply using this narrative as a way to save face. Truly exceptional women who genuinely don't need marriage tend to come to this realization early on. They have the resources and confidence to actively choose to remain single, and they no longer waste time or energy searching for a partner to marry. This group is exceedingly rare among leftover women, likely making up only a small single-digit percentage. Such independence requires a very strong material foundation to support it. But the vast majority are single because their circumstances are less ideal, yet they maintain an inflated sense of self-worth and fail to recognize their actual standing. Their standards are unrealistically high, and the men they want aren't interested in them, which ultimately leads to their situation. Most women see marriage as a way to improve their quality of life, not as a means to just start a family or raise kids. If marriage would lower their living standards or require them to financially support a family, they're simply not interested. When faced with men who aren't financially well off, they become even more arrogant and resentful. They take this as further proof that they're too good for the men around them, which is why they're still single. But what they fail to realize is this: the men who are interested in them are the ones with worse conditions, while the men with better conditions aren't interested at all. The truth is, the majority of leftover women remain single because they're older, less attractive, overweight, financially struggling, or come with other challenges. They might make just $3,000 a month but insist that their future husband earn $10,000 or more. They might have difficult personalities, be hard to get along with, or show extreme gender biases. They're often quick to criticize, and despite being average or below average themselves, they demand a man in the top 10%, hoping to change their lives through marriage. Many of them fall into one of these categories. They're simply overestimating their own value and deluding themselves into believing they're exceptional. Owning a car, a house, and having a career, are these truly markers of being exceptional? For men, having a car, a house, and a successful career is definitely considered exceptional in the dating market. But the standards for what makes men and women exceptional are very different. What counts as exceptional for a woman in the dating market? It's better to ask single men for their perspective. If a woman has a house, a car, and a career, men often see her as a financially independent career woman. But in their eyes, this doesn't necessarily make her exceptional. In fact, her strong material position might even translate into disadvantages, such as seeming older, too busy for a family, overly demanding, or even in debt. The issue is that women who are financially successful often don't lower their material standards for men. Instead, they demand that men earn even more than they do. Is this a form of hypergamy? Sure, it's understandable, but it also makes finding a partner much harder. The women who men immediately consider exceptional are those who are young, beautiful, have great figures, warm personalities, intelligence, emotional sensitivity, and qualities that suggest they'd be great mothers. To put it simply, what men view as exceptional is often influenced by primal instincts and desires. The real reason older single women remain unmarried isn't their exceptionalism, it's their inflated sense of self-worth. On top of this, they're surrounded by people who falsely flatter them and encourage their delusions. A few compliments, and these women start believing they're truly exceptional, becoming even more self-assured and arrogant. In reality, these so-called friends are just there for the entertainment. They don't care whether she gets married or not. They're simply watching the show. It's better to be wary of those coworkers, acquaintances, or old friends who tell you, this man isn't good enough for you, or that man doesn't deserve you. To all the older single women who think they're single because they're too exceptional, take a long, honest look at how you're actually perceived in the dating market. Do men truly see you as exceptional?
You often hear older single women claim, I'm not married because I don't want to be. I'm too exceptional, so I've chosen to stay single. They say they'd rather remain single than settle. But the harsh reality is, no one wants you. You simply can't find someone to marry. What you think makes you high quality, and what a potential partner sees as high quality, are two completely different things. Owning a house, a car, having a career, and earning tens of thousands a year aren't necessarily advantages in their eyes. In fact, these things might even work against you. They can be seen as drawbacks. Why is that? Because the type of man you're looking for is almost always someone who's more successful and wealthier than you. But here's the thing. Men who are already more successful and wealthier than you don't care about your money or accomplishments. They don't need them. They're already at the top. It's like what Jack Ma once said, I don't care if my friends are broke, because their money doesn't mean anything to me. In the same way, the qualities you think make you exceptional don't hold much value in the eyes of these wealthier men. On top of that, being career-driven means you naturally spend more time and energy on work, leaving less time to invest in building a close, intimate relationship. This creates a vicious cycle. The more exceptional you become in your own eyes, the smaller the pool of men you find acceptable. And the rare few who meet your standards, those unicorns, will almost always be drawn to younger, more beautiful women who are warm, nurturing, and emotionally supportive. This is why many career-driven women struggle to find happiness in marriage. It's just like economics. The value of something isn't determined by its inherent worth, but by supply and demand.
I honestly can't wrap my head around this. Can we all just face one simple truth? The idea of a high-quality older single woman is a complete fallacy. Have you ever seen a table of 10 dishes where the one left uneaten is because it's too delicious? Anyone who's older and still single falls into one category. They're overly obsessed with some specific, self-imposed standard. From my experience, these obsessions usually fall into the following categories. First, height obsession. Some insist their partner must be at least 6 feet tall. Not 5'11", not 5'10". It has to be 6 feet, as if their world will fall apart over a single inch. Second, education obsession. Some refuse to date anyone without at least a bachelor's or master's degree.
Why?
Who knows? To them, a degree seems to be the ultimate status marker. Even if someone is a perfect match in every other way, they're immediately disqualified if they don't meet this criterion. Third, regional obsession. Then there are those who insist their partner must be from a specific place, like Shandong province, or even more narrowly, Qingdao. It doesn't matter how amazing someone is. If they're not from the right location, they're automatically out. And here's the kicker. Even when someone meets their height, education, and location standards, they'll still say, I just don't feel a spark. So, on top of their rigid checkboxes, they also throw in the elusive requirement of chemistry. With all these criteria, how is anyone supposed to measure up? Honestly, what's going on in their heads? They keep saying they want to find a partner, but do they actually want one? No matter how much advice they get, they dig in their heels and refuse to compromise. And the worst part? They have no self-awareness about their own situation. They're just average, ordinary people over 30, with no savings, no house, no impressive background, nothing. And yet, somehow, they've convinced themselves they deserve someone leagues above them. Where does this confidence even come from? Here's the thing. You can't expect your partner to be better than you in every way. Marriage works when two people bring complementary strengths to the table. You're good at one thing. They're good at another. That's how a partnership thrives. Marriage is essentially an exchange of resources and advantages, a win-win arrangement. It's not the fairy tale romance you've built up in your head. Let me break it down. The prince fell in love with Cinderella because, at her core, she was still a princess. She just temporarily lost her castle. She had a network of little helpers and a whole lot of luck. But if you don't even have a single friend in real life, do you understand what that says about your situation? I can't help but laugh at how absurd this is. Ladies, I'm begging you, if you seriously want to find a partner, listen to me. Let go of these ridiculous obsessions. Be realistic. Start by focusing on good character. And for the love of everything, stop obsessing over height. I've never seen a single divorce because the man was a few centimeters shorter than they wanted. Divorces happen because of deeper issues, incompatible values, personality clashes, or bad habits. After years of marriage, you'll realize that if you picked your husband based on shallow traits, like whether he looked like a movie star, his other flaws will eventually drive you nuts. But if you chose someone for their personality, character, and how they approach life, they'll continue to surprise you in positive ways. When you're truly compatible, you'll grow closer and more connected over time. But those superficial qualities you once obsessed over, they'll fade, and in the end, they won't mean a thing.